y'all, it's Jessica from Sloppy Swatches. Today I have a look at the August blogger collaboration collection coming from Femme Fatale. This collection is split into 3 different trios that were collaborated with insanely talented bloggers. I'll leave all of their links down below as well as a link to where you can shop this box starting on August 1st. The pre-order will run through August 5th. They are going to be one pre-sale only, super limited edition, so if you're interested, I definitely recommend hopping over and checking them out. These polishes were sent to me for review, and I'll go ahead and get right into it. The first trio I'll be sharing today is the Oxymora Trio. This is the collaboration with Sam from Fashion Police. So first up is Bare Embellishments, and this is described as a stunning neutral beige with a slight gray undertone, scattered holographic particles, small platinum flakies, which I love, and fine holographic micro glitter. So this is in a cream formula. I'll go ahead and show you a quick brush shot, and I'll show you how Bare Embellishments swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first easy coat. This one does go on nice and smooth. It is a little bit sheer here, but it's such a beautiful, cool-toned, sandy beige shade that I think it's going to be really flattering across so many skin tones. So one coat, I got a ton of those flakies and a ton of those glitters, but it was a little bit sheer, so I'll let that dry and then show you how it builds up with a second coat. Here's a look at that second coat. I am going to work in a little bit of a thicker coat here because this one does tend to be on the more sheer side. 2 coats brought this one so close to being completely opaque for me. I did have a few low spots there towards my sidewall. I think that's more my application than anything, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how it builds up for me in a third coat. 3 coats for sure cleans up those edges and brings this one completely opaque. You may absolutely be able to get away with just 2 with this one, though. I'm completely impressed by the opacity of all of these collections across the board. So here's a look at that completed mani. Add 3 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. This one does dry down a little bit dull, but a good top coat is going to help bring out all of those flakes and glitter. So here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with a glossy top coat. This is my swatch photo underneath artificial lighting, and then finally once more at an angle in that direct sunlight. So next up is Shadow Radiance, and this is described as a soft gray base with a strong warm tone that tend to have a hint of brown, some red glow, scattered holographic particles, iridescent micro glitters, and a gorgeous layer of red to green shifting iridescent flakies. That shimmer is showing off beautifully in the bottle here. It also translates just as well to the nail. So I'll go ahead and show you a quick brush shot, and I'll show you how Shadow Radiance swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first easy coat. This one does go on quite sheer. It may be the sheerest of the collection. You could also use it as a topper if you'd like to, but it definitely does build up well on its own. So that first coat makes for a nice blush of color. I did get a ton of flakies, but it is still quite sheer. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how it builds up with a second coat. I am working with a little bit of a thicker second coat here, and that definitely does amp up that opacity plus all of those flakies and especially that shimmer. However, it was still a little bit sheer. I do have some visible nail line left. I'll let that dry and then show you how it builds up for me with a third coat. So here's a look at that third coat. I'm going in for a nice thick third coat here, and it's just like magic. It brings this one completely opaque. If you prefer thinner coats, you may need to go in for a 4th one. I'm telling you guys, though, this finish is absolutely worth it. I did have some texture there, especially with the larger flaky, so again, I do definitely recommend your favorite glossy or matte top coat even with this finish. So here's a look at that completed mani. Add 3 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with that glossy top coat. This is my swatch photo underneath artificial lighting. You can see the flakes pop a little bit more there, and then once more at an angle in that direct sunlight. The last polish of the Oxymora Trio is Dusk Dazzle, and this is described as a velvety, warm purple crelly base with soft copperish glow, scattered holographic flakes, and holographic particles as well. This one is absolutely stunning in all different sunlights. It has that beautiful shimmer that does translate really well to the nail again. So here's a look at that brush shot, and I'll show you how Dusk Dazzle swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first easy coat. This one goes on super smooth and easy. It is a little bit sheer here, but maybe more opaque than the last polish. It definitely builds up really well, really quickly. I am going to go ahead and do a bit of a thicker first coat here. I ran out of polish closer to the side of my sidewall, so this thicker first coat does make for beautiful coverage. I'm going to go ahead and complete this coat, calf the tip, let it dry, and then show you how it builds up for me in a second coat. So here's a look at that second coat. I did kind of fix my camera settings there to be a little bit more in focus. This second coat easily brings this one completely opaque. I don't feel like you're going to have to worry about going too thick or too thin with this one. It just builds up really well. You can see that copper glow is already super strong on the nail. So here's a look at that completed mani. Add just 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. I'm telling you guys, this polish is stunning underneath all different lighting sources. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with a glossy top coat. This is my swatch photo underneath artificial lighting, and then finally once more at an angle in that direct sunlight. Next up is the trio coming from Alexa of Glitter Fingers. I will leave her blog down below. This is called the Things to Love Trio. First up is Color Crush, and this is described as a rich, deep forest green crelly base that leans to an almost teal, with copper glow, red to copper chrome flakies, scattered holographic orange glitters, and ultra fun burnished copper shimmers. This polish reminds me so much of autumn in the south. We have lots of evergreen trees for that deep, rich teal color, and then all the leaves changing for those orange glitters. I'm totally in love with this one. So I'll go ahead and show you how it swatches. Here's a look at that first coat. This does have a bit of a jelly base, but it does go on nice and pigmented. A little bit sheer here. I did have to go in for a thicker coat to reach all the way to the edge of my nail. The formula is not too thick or too thin, though really easy to work with. I did get a nice scattering of those copper flakies, so I'll go ahead and let that dry and show you how it builds up for me in a second coat. So here's a look at that second coat. I did go in a little bit thicker with this one, and it was right on the edge of being completely opaque. If you wanted to let this dry and go in for a third, you totally could. I'm really happy though with the finish at 2. So here's a look at that completed mani at 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath my artificial lighting. This one did tend to dry down just a little bit textured and a little bit dull, so I definitely do recommend a nice glossy top coat. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight. Super gorgeous. This is my swatch photo underneath artificial lighting, and then once more at an angle again in that direct sunlight. So next up is Aurora Borealis, and this is described as a blue when it's warm to black when it's cold thermal with green overlay, striking pink iridescent flakes, red iridescent glitters, and scattered silver holographic glitters. So this is the only thermal in the collection, and it definitely does not disappoint. It has a very striking green shimmer about it. I'll go ahead and show you a brush shot, and then I'll show you how Aurora Borealis swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first coat. This one goes on just as nice and easy as all of the others. It was a little bit sheer. I did still have some nail line going on here, but I did get a nice assortment of those different shapes and sized glitters, as well as a good amount of that green shimmer. So I'll go ahead and complete that coat, let it dry, and then show you how it builds up for me in a second coat. So here's a quick look at that second coat. I am working in a little bit of a thicker coat here. You could already see how it's trying to transition down toward the tip of my nail. 2 coats brings this one completely opaque for me with no issues at all. Those flakes lay nice and flush with maybe just a little bit of texture, and this one is definitely very temperature sensitive. So here's a look at that completed mani at just 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. I definitely do recommend, again, a nice glossy top coat with this one. I didn't get a full black towards the tips. It did go more of a deep forest green. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight. The Texas heat completely stripped any of that cold temperature out. So I'll go ahead and show you how it shifts really quickly in my wine glasses here. To the right, I have very warm water, and it makes for a beautiful, almost aqua finish. And to the left, I have really cold ice water. So this brings out that forest green tone. It really shifts really quickly back to the warm temperature state as well. So this is my swatch photo under artificial lighting, and then once more in the warm state at an angle in direct sunlight. So the last polish of the Things to Love collection is Aquatic, and Aquatic is described as a striking deep gray crelly base with blue luminescent glow, scattered holographic particles, rich sapphire holographic microglitters, as well as iridescent blue flakies. That strong blue shimmer plus those scattered blue holographic glitters that make for a beautiful mix. I'll go ahead and show you a brush shot, and I'll show you how Aquatic swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first easy coat. This one is described as having more of a crelly base, so it does start out quite sheer here. That's really going to help that blue glow or shimmer build up really nicely on the nail. I did go in for a little bit of a thicker first coat here. It did make for a nice even blush of color, but it is a very sheer. I think this is another one that you could totally use as a topper if you wanted to. So here's a look at that second coat. Again, I am working in thicker coats. That definitely helps build up that shimmer as well as all those glitters. I did still have quite a bit of visible nail line left though, so I'm going to go ahead and let this dry and then show you how it built up for me with a third coat. So here's a look at that third coat. You can see those flakies there that are kind of applying and then settling down. 3 coats brings this one completely opaque, no questions at all, no nail line or anything. Here's a look at that completed mani at 3 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. That blue shimmer on this base is everything. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with a glossy top coat. This is my swatch photo underneath artificial lighting, and then finally once more at an angle in that direct sunlight. So the last trio today is coming from Letitia, and I will link her blog down below. This is called the Animal Lovers Trio. So first up is Flamingo Feather, and this is described as a strong coral cream with a hint of strawberry pink tones, fine golden shimmer, holographic particles, and fine holographic micro glitter. This one is so beautiful. That gold shimmer again does a beautiful job at bouncing off that beautiful coral base. I'll go ahead and show you a brush shot, and I'll show you how Flamingo Feather swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first easy coat. Again, this one goes on just as smooth and as easy as the rest of the Femme Fatales. This one does have a bit more of a cream formula, so it may be a little bit more user-friendly. One coat made for pretty awesome coverage. I do still have some visible nail line though, so I'm going to go ahead and let this dry and then show you how it builds up for me with a second coat. So here's a look at that second coat. I am working with a little bit of a thicker second coat here, but it brings this one completely opaque, really easy to use, really easy to work with, and that gold shimmer bounces beautifully off that coral base. It really does definitely help amp up that coverage as well. So here's a look at that completed mani at just 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. This one does dry down fairly glossy with not much texture going on, but of course I do recommend a nice glossy top coat to help extend the wear time and protect it a little bit. So here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with a glossy top coat. This is my swatch photo underneath artificial lighting, and then once more at an angle in that direct sunlight. So next up is Cat's Eye, and this is described as a gorgeous bright blue jelly with green to gold glow, scattered holographic glitters, and holographic accents. This is another polish that does a really great job at bringing that green to gold shimmer directly to the nail, just as bright as it is in the bottle. So I'll go ahead and show you a brush shot, and I'll show you how Cat's Eye swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first coat. Even though this one is in a jelly base, it does a really great job at making for awesome coverage here. I do still have some visible nail line, but I cannot get over how vibrant this mix is on the nail in just one easy coat. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this coat, I'll let it dry, and then show you how it builds up for me in a second coat. So here's a look at that second coat. I'm just going in for a nice normal second coat here. I don't feel like you have to work too thickly with this one. 2 coats for sure brings this one completely opaque, really builds up that gold shimmer and that beautiful, bright, vibrant base. So here's a look at that completed mani at just 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath my artificial lighting. I did have a little bit of texture, especially with those larger pieces of glitter, so again, I do recommend your favorite glossy top coat. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with a top coat. This is my swatch photo underneath artificial lighting, and then finally once more at an angle in that direct sunlight. So the last polish that I have for today is Bear, and Bear is described as a rich, warm brown linear holographic packed with warm iridescent flakes, golden holographic micro glitter, and it also has a jelly formula. So this one is throwing tons of rainbows there. It does also have some shimmer running throughout, but my favorite part of this polish is the flakes that are in there. So I'll go ahead and show you a quick brush shot, and I'll show you how Bear swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first easy coat. This one goes on just as smooth and as easy as you would expect with a Femme Fatale polish. It also has really great coverage here in one coat. Under certain lightings, this one did pull a little bit purple tone for me, but it is definitely a deep, rich brown. So one coat makes for pretty awesome coverage. I did still have some nail line, so I'll let that dry and then show you how it builds up with a second coat. Here's a look at that second coat. I did work with a nice thick second coat, but it brought that one completely opaque. Really easy to use, a really quick coverage, no problems at all. I really love how bright and vivid those rainbows are on this kind of unexpected brown base, but my favorite part is those flakes. You can kind of see it towards the down angle, and especially in the shade, they're really going to pop out. So here's a look at that completed mani at 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath my artificial lighting. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with a glossy top coat. This is my swatch photo, again under that artificial lighting, and then lastly at an angle in direct sunlight. And that does wrap up my swatch and review of the Blogger Collaboration Collection for 2017. I'll link Femme Fatale's storefront and social media down below, as well as all of the collaborators. I do have more photos on my blog if you're interested at sloppyswatches.com, or you can also follow me on Instagram at sloppyswatches. So thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next time.